Holy cymbal! Oh my god, I can't believe I just did that. Is that really the intro that I'm gonna go with? Yes, yes it is. Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm ParaDiddlePete, and it's time to talk about crash cymbals, the most important brass instrument of really any kind of ensemble, and I'm not joking about that. So what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna kind of combine crash cymbals and suspended cymbals. We're not really gonna talk too much in depth with all the different types of different ways you can crash and all the different things that you can do with suspended cymbals. We're just gonna really keep it bare bones. And as always, we're gonna break this down into 3 steps. The first one, how to hold the crash cymbals, how to crash the cymbals, how to roll on a suspended cymbal. How to hold the crash cymbals. I can't tell you how many times I have gone into a high school or middle school or junior high or of some sort, and like every single kid there is holding the crash cymbals wrong because they're putting their hand inside of the strap and doing this instead of holding it like this. So let's talk about that real quick. So like I just said, there's 2 different ways to hold the cymbal. You can either put your hand through the strap and hold it that way, or you can actually hold the strap like you would any other drumstick. So why are there 2 different ways, and why is one better than the other? Alright, so I know I'm gonna get a lot of flack for this because everyone thinks, especially in Texas, that marching band rules everything. But the only reason we put our hands through the actual strap is because of marching band, because you're holding the cymbal for a really long time, because you're doing all these weird visual things or whatever it is that you're doing. And because it's just easier to do it while you're outside. Now, the reason we don't want to do that when we're inside is a whole slew of reasons. The first one being that we don't want our hand to actually touch the cymbal. If we're touching the cymbal, 2 things are happening. We're getting all our grummy hands and whatever type of oils that we have on the cymbal, and it's dirtying the cymbal, changing its sound slightly every single time. The second one is that our hand is actually touching the cymbal, or we have a pad that's in between our hand and the cymbal that is actually muting the cymbal, that is not letting it resonate as much as it possibly can. When you're on the marching field, that stuff doesn't really matter because you're outside and people are hearing things weird. A lot of times you have weird echoes anyway because of the stadium. But when you're inside a nice and sound environment, it makes a huge difference. That's why it's important to hold the cymbal the correct way, whether you're inside or outside. Now, let's talk about how you're actually gonna hold the cymbal. So if you're in marching band, you're gonna hold the cymbal, you're going to put your hand through the strap and you're gonna wrap your hand around it, so that way the strap is actually going in between the index finger and the thumb. This is really good because you can just hold the cymbal and let someone play on it like it's a suspended cymbal, or you can grab it and you can manipulate it and even help mute it with your hands, which is sometimes important in marching band situations. But the way you're gonna grab this if you're inside or really doing anything else other than marching band is that you're gonna take your thumb and your index finger and you are going to pinch at the very base, the very bottom of the strap, the point at which it meets the cymbal. And then you're gonna wrap your other fingers around it, and you wanna make sure that the only thing that the cymbal is really touching is the thumb and the index finger. The rest of the fingers are just holding the strap for support. They're not actually touching the cymbal. Okay, so there's a lot of different ways that we can take these 2 cymbals and crash them together. There are some very fancy ways, and there are some not so fancy ways. But what ultimately matters is that they're coming together and they're making a very good crash and a very good splash kind of sound. Now we're not going to go into different type of dynamics, different types of fortes, how to crash cymbals at a mezzo piano, anything like that. We're going for the generic default sound in a box type of sound, something that anybody will be able to achieve. And that's going to work for basically 90% of your playing. So in order to achieve this generic default crash, you're going to have a crashing hand and a stationary hand. Your stationary hand needs to be your non-dominant hand. And what you're going to do with this stationary hand is that it's going to stay still with the cymbal facing up. And it is going to be tilted, I'd say somewhere around 45 degrees. It's important that it stays at this angle and that it stays stationary. If it's resting on a few of your fingers, that's okay, but try your hardest to make sure that it's not. We don't want it sitting and resting on the arm either. We want it to just be sitting at an angle, and at most it is resting on the index finger. Then you're going to have your crashing hand, which is going to be your dominant hand. For me, this is my right hand. And that is going to be the hand that is actually going to be moving. Now, also notice that my crash cymbals are directly in front of my body. This is so that way I can mute really quickly if I need to. So now that we have our crashing hand and our stationary hand, let's talk about how we're going to bring these two cymbals together. So first, what you need to do is you need to find where the air pocket is. There's two different ways you can find this. The first one is that you put the cymbals together and you can slide the crashing hand up until you hear it and feel it kind of stop, like so. You can really feel it if you start about halfway down the cymbal and move the crashing cymbal up. Another way you can find this air pocket is if you line up the cymbals 100% perfectly and you move the crashing cymbal down until you're about 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches apart. It's very important to know where this air pocket is because nobody wants to hit an air pocket. And if you don't know what that is, this is what it sounds like. It's very dead, it's very thuddy, it's very floppy, it doesn't resonate very well. It's because the air got trapped in between the cymbals and it kept them from coming together and it actually muted them as well. Side note, cymbals should never invert. Just FYI. Okay, so now that we know where our air pocket is and we know how offset our cymbals need to be, what you're going to do is you're going to take your crashing hand and you're going to put it at just about level. It can be tilted just a little bit, but not too much. And you're going to make sure that your non-dominant hand, your stationary hand, is going to stay at a nice angle and it's going to stay still. And what you're going to do is you're going to take your crashing hand and you're just going to drop it and pull it back up, like so. Now this is going to create two different points of contact. The first point is going to be at the top and the second point is going to be at the bottom. This is going to make your sound be very wide and have a very splash type of sound. It's not uncommon to hear two different impact points when crashing cymbals, but you don't really want to hear those two impact points. You want to hear just one big splash, one big crash. Now someone next to you and maybe the conductor might hear the two impact points, but if you're doing it correctly and you're moving fast enough, it's going to sound just like one giant sound, which is exactly what you want. How to roll on a suspended cymbal. Now it's time to kind of switch gears here and we're going to talk about a suspended cymbal and how to actually roll on it. Now there's two main ways that you can mount a suspended cymbal. You can either mount it on a normal cymbal stand or you can use something called a gooseneck. Either or is fine. I personally think that the gooseneck is easier to put together than a cymbal stand. It's also a little bit lighter, but it doesn't really matter. Either one will totally work. What matters is where you're actually going to be playing on the cymbal. So let's talk about that next. So there's two main things that you need to think about and remember when rolling on a suspended cymbal. The first one is to always stay on the edge, and basically you just need to kind of hang out on the edge of the cymbal. The second one is to always start about 2 beats before your actual suspended cymbal roll starts, so that way you don't burn too easily or too early. And I'm pretty sure it's happened to all of us. We're in our band class or our rehearsal or something, we got our mallets or sticks, we're counting our 1,000 bars of rest, and we're ready to roll. And then all of a sudden, beat 1 hits of our roll, we start to roll, and then now the roll's over and we are only halfway through our peak. Or, okay, you're sitting there, you're ready, and then you roll, and then boom! You peak way too early, and now the band director is yelling at you. And how can you be so incompetent? It's just a suspended cymbal. Well, so as we approach the suspended cymbal, it's important to make sure that we have somewhere from medium to soft mallets. We don't want to hear the mallets actually beating on the cymbal. We just want to hear the cymbal, and we want to hear just like static on a TV if you're old enough to know what that is. Okay? And you're going to be rolling on the edge of the cymbal on opposite sides. And the reason you want to start at least 2 beats before you're actually supposed to come in is that you want to give the cymbal a little bit of time to actually kind of activate. You do this with the gong as well. And the bigger the cymbal, the longer it's going to need to kind of warm up and be kind of shimmering a little bit. Now this isn't a loud sound, this is just kind of a soft sound that only you are going to be able to hear, if anyone is going to be able to hear it at all. Because the goal is not to have people hear you activate the cymbal, it's just to get it going so that way you have more control over the sound as it crescendos and as you play it. Okay, so that's it for the video. If you liked it, go ahead, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, do all that good stuff. If you enjoyed this auxiliary percussion stuff, go ahead and check out my other videos I have on triangle and tambourine. I'll be doing more like later on. So let me know in the comments what you'd like to hear about, and I'll do a video over it. All the social media and everything is down below. I stream on Twitch. I think I might start streaming on YouTube. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, you don't want to miss out. As always, Makala Choco. Boom, boom.